right, this is video 3 for the Algebra 1 SOL for Virginia. This is the release test from 2015. We're going to be looking at questions 11 through 15 in this video series. All right, here's question 11. So for this one, which graph best represents the equation 4x plus 5y is equal to negative 20? Now, there is probably so many different ways that you can approach this. My brain instantly starts thinking about points. One way you can do it, let's get a blank sheet because I don't think we have enough room on this one to work it out. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this for just a second. Well, let's write down the equation first. It is 4x plus 5y equals negative 20. All right, so this is your standard form. To me, I like to look at things in the form of y equals mx plus b. So I'm inclined to put it in that format. That is just my preference. That's just when I read the question, that's kind of what I think. So I'm going to put it in the y equals mx plus b format. What this tells us here is that y-intercept, and that's how I think it's helpful to use it for this particular question. So if we do that, we can say 4x plus 5y is equal to negative 20, right? So we're going to minus 4x minus 4x. That gives you 5y is equal to minus 4x minus 20. Divide by 5, divide by 5, divide by 5. Everybody see that? That guy's going to cancel. Y is equal to negative 4 over 5x, and then negative 20 divided by 5 is going to be a negative 4. All right. So what this tells me is what I'm kind of doing with looking at this. Notice, let's go back to the question. The question doesn't ask us what's the, put this in y equals mx plus b format. It doesn't tell us that. It asks us which one is the correct graph, okay? So what I would do is use this format. By doing this, this gives me y-intercept. So when x is equal to 0, y is equal to negative 4. That's what that tells me. So I go here, and I look. When x is equal to 0, y is equal to 4. This one checks, okay? Let's look at one of the other ones. Here's another one. 0 and negative 4. That one also checks, right? This one does not, and neither does this one. So we've basically got our answer choices down to 2. Now, let's look at something else. This is our slope. That slope is negative. What do we know about these two? That's a positive slope because we're going up. That's a negative slope. So by process of elimination, without doing any other math other than changing the format, we have figured out that the answer is A. Now, I would not, because it's the SOL test and because it's such an important test, I would just plug in a few points just to make sure it worked. And maybe try 5 and 0, negative 5 and 0. So if we plug in, so we have negative 4 over 5 times negative 5 minus 4, and we get 0. That's just to check because I have a point here. There's a point here. So what I did is I plugged in negative 5 for x here just to see if it worked, and it did. So that's just, again, you don't have to do that step. I just feel like it was helpful just double check to make sure you got it right. So our answer here is A. All right, let's move on to number 12. All right, number 12. All right, A formula to find the angle measures of an isosceles triangle is shown. Which equation can be used to find x? So basically what this, I ignore this. I feel like you're inclined to make mistakes if you start trying to figure it out by looking at this. Just go ahead and set this one up to find x. All right, so let's rewrite it. And then we'll see what answer looks like ours when we're finished. Let's go ahead and move this guy. 180 minus y is equal to 2x, right? Divide by 2 and divide by 2. So we have x is equal to 180 minus y divided by 2. Now let's find out which one matches. It looks like it's A. You see where you could have made a mistake easily here with this. So it's better to just ignore the answers right away and go ahead and solve it out. There are some problems that are easier just to go ahead and kind of glance at the answer choices and you can figure it out. But I would say when in doubt, just go ahead and work the problem out. All right, looking at number 13. Which equation represents a line that passes through the points -4, 4, and 8, -2? You have an equation for that in your brain, okay? So remember, think back. You have to kind of dig to when you studied, what is it? Point slope? I think is what they call it. That's not it. All right, so looking here at number 13. This one's going to require a little bit more work than what we've had to do so far. It says, which equation represents the line that passes through the points -4, 4, and 8, -2? All right, there's two things you need to do here. There's really kind of a bunch of different approaches that you could take. Let me just tell you the three equations that will be useful for answering this one, and you can choose which ones you want to use. The first one is one you have to use, and that's slope. Right? So slope is equal, which is m. Let's go ahead and put that there. So slope is m. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You got to remember that y goes over x. Okay, so sometimes we say rise over run, right? So because you have to rise first, which is your y, and then you're going to run this way, which is your x. That's where that comes from. You have another one. You have point slope, right? And that one is equal. Let's put some colons here. Point slope is going to be y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. All right. And then last but not least, we looked at this one already. Slope intercept form. Y equals mx plus b, where m is going to be slope again. So here's how I would approach this. You got to find slope to begin with, okay? Because you could really use either one of these. Let's say your mind froze up and you're like, oh man, I'm not really sure. You could use any one of these equations. The only stipulation is, let's take a look at this. These answer choices are written in slope-intercept form. So really, it's only beneficial, most beneficial to use the slope equation first and find slope, and then put it into slope-intercept form, because then you'll be done, okay? Let's say you forgot this one, okay? All hope is not lost in that situation. Use the slope formula, and then use the point slope formula. When you get from after this, you can convert it to make it look like these. Okay, so that's kind of a way you can use what you have. Use the tools that you remember for these tests. All right, so let's take a look. Let's do slope. Up here, I always go x1, y1, x2, y2, just because it's really easy to confuse them. So I'm going to write the equation in again. So y2 is negative 2 minus 4. Then you have x2, which is 8, minus 4. Okay. Now, what we want to do here, these are two negatives, so we're going to add the opposite. And negative 2 and a negative 4 is going to be a negative 6. All right. Then you have 8 and 4, which is going to be 12. Okay. Now let's say we have 6. Not 6. Slope is equal to negative 6 over 12. 6 will go into itself once. 6 will go into 12 twice. We have 1/2, negative 1/2. So at this point, we know our slope is negative 1/2. Okay. What we can do from here is eliminate answer choices A and B because we know it's not either of those. Now, the next thing I would do from here is plug and chug. Pick a number, either one. I'm just going to pick this one, the first one here. So we know y is equal to a negative 1/2 x plus b, right? So we have three variables at this point. This is the information that we know. What we can do from here is plug in one of these. So I'm just going to choose the first one just because. So we know that first one, that y is equal to 4. I'm going to put negative 1/2. Then x is equal to negative 4 plus b. All right, so let's do this math here. I like to just, when I'm doing these, the math is simple a lot of times, but I still will plug it into my calculator. I have calculator dependencies. And that's going to be 2 plus b is equal to 4. But I like 2, especially when you're dealing with fractions and you're dealing with negatives and you have all these things where you could potentially make a mistake. Just to have that calculator give you that extra bit of confidence in your answer, it goes a long way. So I would recommend it. -2, -2. It's so easy to make an adding mistake. And here that cancels, and that leaves you with 2. So b is equal to 2. So let's rewrite that. We're going to go back and plug that back into here. Y is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 2. And let's make sure plus 2, it's going to be c. And that is it. You could have done the same thing with this other point slope. You would have plugged in, like you could have plugged in here, you got your slope, right? You would have plugged in 1/2. Here you would have left x. Here you would have left y. You would have plugged in negative 4 here and 4 here and just solved it so you put it to y equals mx plus b format. Number 14. There's a couple of different ways you could do this problem. I'm going to show you both of them because I think it's important to have some tools. First things first, I would think about things that you know about solving these problems. You could solving by graphing is probably the easiest way to do this. Another option is you're essentially given the answer, plug it in and see if it works. That's it. You know, depending on how fast you can plug and chug, that would be a safe option. So what you would do, for instance, for A, is you would, so we're looking at option A here, negative 3 plus 1 is greater than or equal to negative 2. And that's not the case because that's negative 2. So it's not greater than or equal to. So right off the bat, A is not right. Okay. The sign here would need to be this for that answer to be true. So because that negative 3 doesn't work, we can go ahead and skip down to B. X plus y is greater than negative 2. Let's plug that in. Oh, that's exactly the same as the previous one, so we know that doesn't work either. Oh, looky here. This one and this one do not work, so we can eliminate A and B. Now look here. This one and this one are the same. So what we're going to do is focus in on these two. All right, so let's look at 2, and that's -3, and I'm looking right here at C. -3, 1. It's greater than or equal to -9, or greater than, sorry, less than -9. So that is going to be a -6 minus 3, which is in fact -9. The sign needs to be this. So this one is not an option either. The answer is D. So basically I plugged in Chug. Here's another way you could do that. I'm going to look at just the correct answer. Now, if you have a graphing calculator, even if you don't own a graphing calculator, most schools will have a calculator that you can borrow that is a graphing calculator. It may not be in color like this particular one, but you can go up to the Y field and let's type that in. Now here's the thing, that is not in y equals mx plus b format, so you would have to put it in y equals mx plus b to use this particular format. So I'm just going to move it around. And so basically if we look here to put it in y equals mx plus b, I'm actually was doing it in my head before I realized you want to take this to the other side. -x minus 2, and then with this one, take this to the other side. -2x minus 9, divide by -3, divide by -3, -3. What do we know when we divide by a negative? We're going to flip that sign. And then that's 2/3x plus 3. All right, so we're going to plug both of these in. Let's see. -x minus 2. 2/3 x plus 2. And notice this one here. Oh, you're going to hit my line. So that is greater than. Okay. And this one is going to be the red one. Let's click that, and it's going to be less than. There it is. Down. Now here is where we're going to graph it. Anywhere they overlap. So if you were see this purple shaded area are solutions to these two inequalities. You can graph it. And if we take a look here, 3. Oh, we need to find, my window's not right. Let's start my table at -3. 3, 1 is a choice here, 3, 1. So this is just kind of something, again, if we look here, -3, 1 would be an answer choice here. And it doesn't look like when you're first looking at it that it actually is an answer choice, but you have to really zoom. At first I started to question. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. But it's right in that little tiny area right there. You see it? -3, 1. Okay. All right, so that's our number 14. Honestly, all this was unnecessary. This is the easiest way to do this one. Again, what we did for this one, plug this in for x and this in for y to see which ones check. All right. All right, so we're looking here at number 15. Number 15 is similar but different than number 14. It is an inequality. We're going back to we have the three methods to solve it: graphing, elimination, substitution. And looking at this problem, I believe elimination may be our easiest approach. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it. And as I'm looking through, I'm looking to find something that's easy to substitute, or sorry, easy to eliminate. Here, it looks like it would be just easiest to say -4 and send a -4 through here. So rewriting the top, so we're not changing the top. -4 times 7 is a -28x minus 4y. And then 48, -48 here. All right, so now we can eliminate that guy there. So a -28 and 2, so it's a -26 is equal. And then here we're going to have a -26, okay, dividing through here by -26, and x is equal to 1. Right away, it looks like C is our answer because x is negative, because it's the only one that's got x as being a +1. So what you can do here, pick one of these and say 2 times 1 plus 4y is equal to 22. That's 2 plus 4y is equal to 22. We got to plug that 1 back in so we can find what the x coordinate is here. Subtract 2 out, subtract 2. 4y is equal to 20, right? So divide by 4 and divide by 4. Y is equal to 5, okay? Which is what we said C. Under no circumstance should you immediately check check C as your answer choice after getting just one coordinate. I could have done some faulty math here and gotten an answer that just happened to be an answer choice. It's always good to go ahead and just make sure you have it correct. If you wanted to just be extra sure, plug everything into that bottom one as well, just to make sure it checks. 7 plus 5 is in fact 12, so that does check. Again, just get in the habit of over checking your work. Don't rush through your test and don't choose, here we could have instantly chose C, but it's better just to be sure that the answer is right than to just immediately go with your first, with this here, just to make sure you weren't doing any faulty math. All right, that's the end of this video series. We'll do the next video series. We'll go through the next 5 problems. Thanks for watching. If this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.